Let's talk.
Giles Brown.
This, the last week of the month, it means only one thing. It means our friends at Spence Clarke join us live in the studio. We're joined by Javier. Good morning to you, Javier.
Good morning, Giles. Good to see you.
It's very good to see you. And, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new guest for the first time on radio in Spain. In fact, probably the world. I am joined by Rob. Rob, good morning to you, sir.
And good morning to you.
Good to have you with us. Part of the team at Spence Clarke?
I am.
How long have you been with... Don't worry, it's not going to be all about you, but how long have you been with Alistair and everybody at Spence Clarke for?
Just over 3 years now.
And I'm picking up a certain accent from there, so would you mind telling the listeners, because they'll be going, he's from somewhere, but I can't place. So what part of the old country are you from?
Well, if the old country, it would be Bristol, where I lived, but I was born in Cornwall.
So, rugby.
Yes, yeah. I'm a rugby guy.
Right, okay, I'm thinking front row? No? Where did you play in rugby then?
I was in the backs.
You were a back?
Yeah.
Right then.
Centre.
Okay, we're not going to continue this conversation then. Right then, moving slim. Let's. Did you ever play rugby, Javi?
No, I'm from Spain, so it's football. Football, maybe.
Football, maybe some more football.
Correct.
Okay, right. We'll get off that then. I'll speak to you later, Rob. So,
but you didn't pick up my accent.
Well,
you didn't ask me that question the first time.
Yeah, because I know that you're from Birmingham. It's okay.
Sure,
right,
sure, absolutely.
What part of Spain are you? Whereabouts are you from?
Granada.
You're from Granada?
Yeah, the most beautiful city in the world.
The most beautiful.
No discussions.
No, I'm not arguing with you. Trust me.
Okay.
I've taken people up to Granada and they said we've never been to Granada. It's like, get in the car, we go.
Absolutely.
There was a night in Granada. Anyway, let's not go there. Right, today we are getting away from those romantic destinations, the West Country and Granada, and going to the romantic destination of bookkeeping and annual reporting in Spain. Now, we're going to talk about how bookkeeping and how it translates into annual reporting in Spain. So I guess the first question is why? I mean, why should businesses seek out the services of bookkeeping firms or indeed accountants?
Yeah, I mean, we are going to focus on companies, of course, because I always come to talk about personal taxes, and this morning I woke up and I say, I want a new challenge. So let's talk about companies today.
In that voice?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, okay.
That's how I sound in my head.
Okay.
Yeah. So, bookkeeping is, in essence, the activity of keeping the records of the financial affairs for the business. So you could think us like a guidance for businesses. We help to keep them on course handling the day-to-day numbers, making sure that taxes are filed on time, and of course ensuring that everything is above board legally. Yeah. It's not just about counting coins, as some could talk about, and it's about giving businesses a clear picture of where they stand financially so that they can make smarter decisions.
Because if you know exactly where you are in terms of your, coming in, coming out, your day-to-day running, that enables you to focus on the big picture.
Of course. It makes things easier.
Now, you mentioned the words above the board legally. There've got to be some sort of hoops, shall we say, some opportunities, we won't call them challenge, opportunities for companies in Spain to jump through financially.
Well, this is Spain. So there are going to be quite a few.
Yeah.
Businesses need to maintain accurate accounting records, submit their annual accounts, legalise their statutory books, and pay corporation tax. It can at times sound a bit like trying to navigate your way through a maze. But with the right help, it all falls into place.
Navigate with a blindfold on whilst somebody's going go left and go right. Well, that's what we kind of have you guys in for, to guide us by the hand. I've heard of corporation tax, although it's not my favourite. As you know, mine is grandes fortunas, along with annual accounts. But statutory books. Now, explain what those are then.
Statutory books, or libros contables, are essentially the company's official records. They show things like decisions made by the directors and shareholders, the shareholdings themselves, and financial transactions. Yeah. It sounds like a lot, but with good bookkeeping software and support, it's very manageable. And in Spain, it's a legal requirement to keep these up to date. If you don't, you're technically breaking company law.
Right. So the question is here with these. So this is illegal. This is illegal. You have to have this. But I mean, when you say a record, I mean, are we going to have like some little guy in the corner with a quill and a piece of paper having to note these down like a Christmas Carol or something? Writing down it. I mean, do you have to put the minutes or what they had for lunch? How many coffees you ordered? I mean, what's the deal today?
Well, you may laugh, but sometimes it wasn't that long ago when you have to physically prepare the documents and also deliver this to be presented in person in Malaga. Thankfully, times has changed and we've moved on from those times. Nowadays, it's all digital, especially after COVID, as everyone is aware now. We submit everything electronically through the Spanish company register, which of course makes things a lot faster and reduces the risk of paperwork going missing. Yeah. I have not lived those times, but there are people in the office, some colleagues that had to go personally to Malaga on a deadline at the last minute.
On the old road,
of course, to deliver the paperwork. And then they meet all other professionals from other firms and they start in fights to see who was the first one to deliver and could go home. But those times are gone. And now this process, of course, is normally handled by an accountant or gestor, who is, of course, a sort of administrative expert, common in Spain. People like us who prepare the necessary files and convert them into the right digital format. After that, the company director reviews and sign off all the paperwork, and then we have the books prepared and can be submitted for legalization.
Bear with me here, because this is from somebody. You're looking at a blank page. Yep. So when we're talking about these libros contables, we're talking about financial decisions, not company decisions here. Are we saying
it's always financial, and the libros contables are like the what's behind the companies. Everything is numbers.
Yeah,
profit and loss account, what you have done in January, February, March, etc. So that everything is must be recorded in Spain, and then you have to supply that to the mercantile registry.
And the Spanish companies register, what is that called? Is it the
Registro Mercantil.
Okay, right. So here we are discussing annual reporting. You would imagine, but this is Spain, that statutory books are done each year?
Absolutely.
Right.
Whereas bookkeeping should be done on a regular basis, weekly or monthly. And I want to stress the importance of that aspect because it makes a big difference to the quality of a company's books. However, when legalizing these books, you are correct, once a year. The deadline is 4 months after the financial year ends. That's when everything needs to be finalized, locked in and submitted.
Is it a bit like the situation where if you look like everybody else, with human nature, you'll think, I'll do that over the weekend, and then you don't do it, and then you'll think, I'll do it in one big hit, I'll do it in one big day, and then you get completely swamped by the information coming in.
Procrastination is not your friend.
That should be the T-shirt for the next golf day for you guys, for in anything. Right. So, what could possibly go wrong if you don't submit then these the books? Then the books.
Well, plenty. I mean, Rob said that before. This is Spain, so you could of course face fines, trouble with the tax office, delays in official processes. So if your statutory books aren't up to scratch, it can affect things like selling the business, getting a loan, or even registering the documents. Right. It's a bit like having an expired passport. You will find yourself stuck at the gate.
However, we now have e-gates as well. So it's not going to be just one gate because, as we have said, this is Spain, indeed. Presumably there'll be a gate and then a gate after that, and then there'll be a door, and then there'll be electronic gates. And so it's not as simple as just as one gate, I presume.
Indeed. I mean, the annual reporting starts with the statutory books and then moves on to corporation tax. A point of note in this is that we get asked much about the rate of corporation tax and how it compares generally. For instance, the standard rate is 25%. That's what most companies pay. However, new businesses can enjoy a reduced rate of 15% for their first 2 years of profitability, which helps ease the pressure when they're just starting out.
Okay.
Additionally, there is a reduced rate of 23% for those companies whose net turnover for the preceding tax year was less than €1 million. Those are just the basics.
Okay, yeah.
And we could talk ad nauseum about all the variations and what-ifs, only to become lost amongst the weeds for your listeners. Believe me, when you dig into this any deeper, you soon realise it's a terribly dry subject. However, there is one silver lining. It's envisaged to reduce corporation tax for small businesses over the next few years.
Can I just ask a quick one here? So the standard rate is 25%. Mm-hmm. If your business is turning over less than €1 million, it's 23%. And you're going to... You get a if you're a new business and you're under $1 million, then it's 23 minus 15?
No, it's straight 15.
Straight 15. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, that's why I'm in business. Right. Okay. So... passing through the gates. Let's get back to that.
Well, get back to the question, passing through the gates. Yeah. Corporation tax must be filed 6 months and 25 days after the end of your financial year. It's a bit precise, I know.
I know. Right.
So if your year ends in December, you need to file by the 25th of July. It's one of the most important deadlines in the calendar.
Of which there are many. Now, in this post-COVID world, lots of people have decided to go out on their own, become digital nomads, though nobody's not quite sure what that means anyway, but it looks good. So, do you get asked about tax breaks for small businesses or startup companies?
We do, of course, and there are quite a few. The government especially tries to encourage job creation and innovation. So there are some deductions for research and development, hiring staff, or even investing in certain equipment. Of course, these rules can at times veer toward the technical, so it's worth having an accountant to help.
So you can't put your Ferrari in as research and development as a startup. You could try.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? All right.
I don't think so. I mean, it will be about discussing that with a tax inspector. You should bring a tax inspector here. We have talked about this before.
Yes, we should bring a tax inspector here
to see.
To see the fear in
there's no such thing as I've lived here since '85. Trust me. You may not have heard this, but I have the greatest of respect for our friends at Hacienda, and I think they are underemployed because that situation where people get lost in the Sierra Nevadas or in the Amazon or something. They shouldn't bother with search and rescue teams. They should just send Hacienda, because you could be sitting in a hut in the middle of the Amazon with a native tribe, and you would hear the sound of a paddle in a canoe, and that would be Hacienda, because they would have found you.
Yeah, but don't expect the tax inspector to speak English, because they ask for every single document to be officially translated into Spanish. But they don't even if it's okay, good morning, Mr. Giles, your net salary is this. No, you need that to have translated. So maybe that's why they don't come here.
Glad I can see. No, but that is absolutely correct, because this is Spain, as we're saying, and procrastination is not your friend, by the way. This is a simple question, but again, this is Spain, so nothing is simple, I would imagine. So, how does this all get added up? How is it calculated?
Well, the corporation tax, a simple answer might state that it's a tax on a company's profit. True, but it may miss the point. We start with the accounting profit. That's in essence your income minus expenses. Then we apply tax rules, which might disallow some costs or add back certain adjustments. Yeah. So your final taxable profit may differ slightly, or not that slightly, from your profit and loss report. It's important to clarify what is meant by expenses or deductible items. You can deduct almost anything that's genuinely, and that's maybe the key, genuinely, related to the running of the business. Wages, rent, materials, professional services, IT equipment, and even fuel and travel costs. But it must be well documented. Yeah. No sneaking in that beach holiday under a client research. And in particular, because in the event of a tax inspection, from which of course is always very pleasant, the tax office will demand you to justify why and how all those expenses that you have declared are genuinely related to the business. And that's where the problem comes, because sometimes it's difficult to separate personal costs, especially if it's a company with only one person behind that, and you think that one thing may be business expense, but for the tax office size is personal cost. So that's the most difficult part, and that's why it's always good to seek for help.
Now, the thing about taxes is that it's not. It doesn't stay still. Taxes move. It's almost organic. It's every year there are changes to taxes. And for somebody like myself, again, for whom maths is a language spoken on Pluto, it's kind of difficult to understand. So, I mean, this is presumably where you guys come in.
Yeah, I mean, it's taxes change.
Yeah,
and what you've said is a very valid observation. It's not just the taxes, though, but it's also the laws that underpin those taxes that changes. Currently, Spain is pushing forward with digitization and transparency. And so there have been changes around such things as digital invoices.
Yeah.
There are also some new tax incentives for sustainability-related investments. So that's just a flavour of some of the changes. And yes, the rules changed often. So it pays to stay informed or have someone who does it for you.
Fair enough. So we've talked about statutory books and corporation taxes, but all good things come in threes. So there's one more, isn't there?
Yeah, the granddaddy of them all.
Okay.
Annual accounts are your company's year-end report card. They include a balance sheet, a profit and loss account, and notes explaining the figures, along with a certificate where directors approve the accounts for the year. They show whether your business made a profit, how much you own and owe, and how you managed your finances over the year. I need to stress here that all commercial companies in Spain are required to file annual accounts, even if they made a loss or haven't traded during the year. To clarify what we mean by commercial companies, these would include public limited companies, limited liability companies, pension funds, and limited partnerships.
Right.
There is one true exception to all this: autónomos, or sole traders, who have a different tax obligation scheme, but don't need to file accounts with the mercantile registry.
Okay, so if you take sort of annual reporting and the flow of annual reporting as a guide, then you would presumably annual accounts would follow corporation tax. Is that right?
Well, almost. Think of the process running in tandem. First, the annual accounts must be approved by shareholders within 6 months of the financial year end, which does not need to be 31st of December. It can be whatever you establish at the beginning. After that, they must be filed with the mercantile registry within the following month, with a deadline of normally 30th of July if the company end year is 31st of December. So you've basically got 7 months in total to do everything, but don't leave it to the last minute.
And if procrastination is, almost your friend, then what happens? What happens if it comes in late? Then what's the bad news?
What do you think? Of course, fines.
Yeah, fines. Yes.
and this can be over 1,000 euros. And apart from that, your company might be marked as non-compliant, which will cause problems with banks, investors, potential business partners. And it's not just about ticking a box. It affects also your reputation. A company that does not submit the annual accounts for many years can have his mercantile file temporarily closed, which means that they cannot do any kind of modifications to its structure. You cannot change the administration, the activity, or even do the liquidation. And believe me, it can be a real nightmare to bring the company back to life with that. Finally, you also need to remember that your accounts become public record. So anyone, even you, Giles,
yes,
you can actually request a copy from the registry. So if your numbers look good, it can actually help your credibility, but it also means that you can't hide poor financial management. So of course, it's worth getting it right.
And let's leave it with a positive note, shall we? Because it's otherwise people will be like I'll be getting letters in again. So you get it. If you get it, what are the benefits of getting it right, Rob?
Back to where we started. With good bookkeeping, it's everything. Maintaining consistency and adherence through the year means your annual accounts are just a formality. Poor records mean stress, errors, and possibly fines. Like I said, procrastination is not your friend. It's a bit like cleaning your house as you go. It saves a massive panic before the guests arrive. And one guest you don't want is a tax inspector.
Yeah, indeed. No, it makes really good sense. And if you get into the habit, it's just one of the things that you do. You file your book, you get your bookkeeping in order every week, and then it's
for example, we work on a monthly basis with our clients. Right? Yeah. Every month we request all the invoices, expenses, etc. So we try to keep the accountancy on a monthly basis, which of course help to do the quarterly taxes and helps a lot to do the annual ones. We always send a report at the end of the quarter. so that they can keep the record of what's being done with the company. And at the time of legalizing all these things for the annual accounts, statutory books, corporation tax, etc., it makes things much simpler.
And it's also easier to actually have questions answered. It's more time relevant.
Sure.
So that if you're doing this on a monthly basis, your questions are only 1 month old.
Yeah, and so you're thinking of it more off. It's as you think of it. Now, I'm not thinking now. What we worried about sort of 6 months ago? It is more immediate. If people want to find out more information, obviously the website, the blog is really good as well. Where should just give the listeners the website?
Our website is www.SpenceClarke, Spence with an E and Clarke with an E.com, and our phone office number is 952-822-943. So you can contact us there with Photonic Travel, and we will be pleased to help.
Indeed, if you go onto the TRE website as well, you'll find a banner, click on that, and you go to Spence Clarke. Javi, as always, good to see you. Rob,
pleasure.
Outstanding, first time in, and and what have we learned today?
Procrastination is not your friend.
Indeed, as it's your first day in, and I'm being nice to you because you don't try and steal the new kids' sandwiches and lunchbox. I thought we'd play out with a little bit of this. Thanks, chaps. See you in a couple of weeks' time.
See you soon.
Cheers.